Okay, so usually we have an introduction track explaining the method and the project, but I suspected we might be losing quite a few learners this way, so we can just jump right into learning French. I do need to tell you a little bit about how we're going to learn, though, and that's just basically that you need to relax and simply follow this conversation that we're having like you would with a friend. Just that now that friend is me, and when I ask you something, you will think it out and reply as you would in any other conversation. I'll be speaking to a real student, hello,
Hello.
who is here with me, and you should get in the habit of replying when he does, and any other advice that you might need to follow the course will be given as we go along. I wanted to begin by speaking about how in English we already use a lot of French in English. English is a language, it's kind of half Germanic and half Latin, somewhere there in the middle. You know, a lot of the time we have two words to say the same thing, and one sounds formal and the other one sounds informal. And, you know, the formal one is Latin and the informal one is Germanic. You know, you could have, for example, to ask, which is very Germanic, and then to inquire, you know, which is very Latin. That Latin word is often going to sound like a French word. So we already speak or use a lot of French in our English, even though we may not realize it. For example, the word for cake in French is gâteau.
Gâteau.
Gâteau. And of course we have this in English now, but in English gâteau describes a type of cake. In French it's just the everyday word for cake, gâteau. Or the cake, le gâteau.
Le gâteau.
Le gâteau. Or we have the word coffee in English, which is café in French. Café, meaning both coffee or a coffee shop, you know, like where you go to drink coffee.
Café.
So if le gâteau is the cake, le gâteau, how might you say the coffee?
Le café.
Le café, very good. So for the students listening to the recording, you would have had a second or two pause there to respond like the student here with me and say le café, but you should get in the habit of pausing, even though you might not need to yet. You should get in the habit of pausing, thinking out slowly and calmly your response, saying it out loud, and then continuing to see what the student here with me has said, and in this way participate in the class. I want in French, I want is je veux.
Je veux.
Je veux. So we have I, je, and then veux for want. And this veux is actually connected to the word volunteer. A volunteer is the one who wants to do. They are doing something just out of wanting. So we get je veux in French, I want.
Je veux.
So je is I, and that's spelled J-E. And then we have veux for want. And je and veux are actually two different vowel sounds, two slightly different vowel sounds, although they may sound the same when people speak fast. But we have one sound in je and another vowel sound in veux. So give me again, I want.
Je veux.
Je veux.
Je veux.
Very good. I want the cake.
Je veux le gâteau.
Good. And le is spelled L-E, just like je, which is spelled J-E.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same vowel sound there. Le, je. So give it another try.
Je veux le gâteau.
Very good. Je veux le gâteau. I want the coffee.
Je veux le café.
Je veux le café. If you want to say it, like I want it, well, the word for it is the same as the word for the, which was
Le.
le. But we have it first. We say I it want. We put it before want in French. So if we want to say I want it in French, we say I it want. How would that be?
Le est. So, je le veux.
Je le veux. Very good. I want it. Je le veux. You want is tu veux. Tu veux.
Tu veux.
Now, depending on the accent in French and also depending on your ear, you might hear something like a CH to your ear here. It might sound like tu a little bit, or maybe like a tu, with a little bit of an S in Canada, for example. And the U sound here might be a bit unfamiliar for English speakers. Tu. We point our lips out there when we make that U. So, you want is tu veux.
Tu veux.
How would you say you want the cake?
Tu veux le gâteau.
Very good. Tu veux le gâteau. And you can make that into a question in French just by making it sound like a question. So we just can make a question tone with our voice in order to get the question. Do you want the cake? How would that be?
Tu veux le gâteau?
Tu veux le gâteau? How would you say you want it?
Tu le veux.
Tu le veux. Very good. Do you want it?
Tu le veux?
Very good. Just with your voice, no? Tu le veux?
Tu le veux?
Very good. So we've seen we can pull some words into French or back into French from Latin English, words like gâteau, café, and also relate words that might seem unrelated but in fact are related, like veut for want and volontiers, the one who wants. We can also learn some tricks to convert huge groups of words into French from our Latin English or our French English. Now, whenever we have an ION word in English, like invitation, opinion, participation, we can identify this word as coming from Latin by its ION ending, which means it is probably the same in French, as most of Latin English came to English through French. So, for example, collection in French is collection, collection.
Collection.
Now, it's spelled the same, but we notice an S sound instead of the sh that we have in English, collection, and in French, collection, like with an S. And we also notice that the N is barely heard, barely pronounced, or not heard, but it's not exactly silent. We don't ignore it totally. We do think about that N. We kind of finish there. Collection, no, which affects the sounds before, but we don't really hear the N. So, collection.
Collection.
We're going towards the end, but we don't get there. But it's not silent as is often said. How might you say organization?
Organisation.
That's it. Organisation. Tradition.
Tradition.
Tradition. Attraction.
Attraction.
Attraction. What was the cake again?
Les gâteaux.
Le gâteau. The coffee.
Les cafés.
Le café. So much more like le than le. Le café. So we saw how the word for the was le. No, le café, le gâteau. And also that we can use this le for it. But the collection is la collection.
La collection.
The tradition is la tradition.
La tradition.
This is because French nouns are words we can put the in front of, are considered either masculine or feminine. The word itself, rather than the object it refers to, has a gender. The masculine nouns go with le, le, and the feminine nouns go with la, la. What was I want?
Je veux.
I want the collection.
Je veux la collection.
Je veux la collection. You want?
Tu veux.
Very good. Tu veux. Do you want?
Tu veux.
Tu veux. The confirmation is la confirmation. La confirmation.
La confirmation.
So again, we have a la word no. We have a feminine word. And we notice that apart from the N on the end, we also don't really hear the N of confirmation. We don't ignore it. We still think about it. But we don't really hear it. La confirmation.
La confirmation.
Do you want the confirmation?
Tu veux la confirmation.
Tu veux la confirmation. So we said that the word for it is the same as the word for the. So if you want to say, I want it, and you mean the confirmation, la confirmation, how would you say, I want it, it want in French?
Je la veux.
Je la veux. Very good. You want the collection.
Tu veux la collection.
Very good. Tu veux la collection. You want it, and we mean la collection.
Tu la veux.
Very good. Tu la veux.
Tu la veux.
Do you want it?
Tu la veux.
Tu la veux. So we just can make a question tone with our voice. Now, do you want it? In English, we added do there, but we don't need to worry about that for French. Tu la veux. Now, you may be thinking, how will I know whether a word is masculine or feminine? Or before that, you may be thinking, why the hell are words masculine or feminine? Which is also a good question. But it's actually much simpler than it might seem to identify the gender of the word, and it isn't random. You will notice how certain endings will show you what gender the word is. So, for example, all of the ion, I-O-N words, ion in French, no, just like collection, tradition, confirmation, all of these go with la. So, how might you say the reservation?
La réservation.
La réservation. The tradition?
La tradition.
La tradition. The complication?
La complication.
Good, and the M here is also kind of slight. La complication. How would you say opinion? Opinion.
Opinion.
Good. Opinion. If we say the opinion, as opinion starts with a vowel, we will lose the A of la. So we get L apostrophe opinion. So how might that sound?
L'opinion.
L'opinion. L'opinion. The organization?
L'organisation.
L'organisation. The passion?
La passion.
La passion. And less N. La passion.
La passion.
Very good. So you notice we get a lot of different types of word with this ion pattern related to many different areas of life, and we can access them just through our Latin or French English.